Hi everybody, I'm Tricia Morris from Club S.C.R.A.P, and I'm so excited to be your special guest today. I'd like to say a hi, hey there, hello to all of the people who are from Club S.C.R.A.P watching us today, because I am from Wisconsin after all. And today I want to share with you a special formula that I've developed to help you complete your pages, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or an advanced scrapbooker. And I've even developed a simple way for you to remember that formula. It's called the acronym for SCRAP. And let me show you how that works. All right, so this is a formula where every single letter stands for a step that we're going to do. So again, it's the word SCRAP. Let's talk about that first letter, the letter S, which stands for select your photos. So I've selected my photos. In fact, I just literally took the next set of pictures I'd intended to scrapbook. And you'll notice that in the selection process, I chose about half a dozen photos, and you'll see that all of them coordinate. They're from the same day, the same time of day, the same place, and the same general color scheme. So after I study these for a while, by the way, we've already done the first step, S, select your photos. We move on to the next step, which is the letter C, which stands for choose your paper colors. Now, to me, this is one of the most important steps. It's the secret to making sure that layout turns out beautifully every time. Now, in choosing the papers for these photos, I'm noticing that the color gray is very predominant here, along with some of that denim blue for my daughter Emily's skirt. So I've gone through my whole stash of Club S.C.R.A.P kits, and I've discovered that January, the framed kit, is going to be a very delightful match with these photos. What we have over here are some pages that have pre-cut windows right in them. So this one has one larger window, and then right underneath that we have a set of 3 windows in a different color that's going to coordinate with that denim skirt. And then we have another piece of solid cardstock that matches right behind it. Then over on the other side of the page, we actually have a different set of cut windows, a set of 5 2-inch ones. And then behind that, I actually have some printed paper that's going to match this perfectly. Look how it ties in with all of these other pictures. I know I've got the right match here. This is really one of the most important tasks. Notice I didn't go with buckets and shovels on this page. I chose papers that work with these photos, not necessarily the theme. So we've selected our photos, we've chosen our colors, and now the next step is kind of a stretch, I know, the letter R, which stands for render your photo mats. Now, I really like to put photo mats behind my photos because I think it allows them to pop off the page a little bit more. Because just with these grays, there's not a lot of contrast. I want to create some contrast with these photo mats. Now, I'm a very frugal scrapper, so I like to get the most out of my paper, and I want to show you a little secret about how we can render those photo mats quickly and easily. Now, I've got a 12-inch piece of cardstock. It's the same blue that's featured on this layout, and I have a little diagram drawn for you here. We're going to cut this paper in half right down the middle, so that's easy. Half of 12 is 6. Then I'm going to cut it the other direction in thirds. I want to show you how this is going to work. When I bring my photos back onto the scene, I want you to see that when I lay my photo on top of my 4x6 piece of paper that I've cut, all I've had to do is remove 1/4 of an inch from one long edge, 1/4 of an inch from a short edge, and I'm ready to go. So let's get our trimmer and make those simple cuts, and you can see how easy this is. Really, I can create mats for 6 photos with only 3 cuts on my trimmer and no scraps. All right, so we're going to line this up carefully on our horizontal measuring bar of our trimmer at the 6-inch mark. Okay, so I have my paper in at 6 inches, stabilize it, and make the cut. Now, this is the fun part because I can just stack this together carefully, put it back into the trimmer. Now, this is another little trick. Keep the bulk of your paper on this side of the cutting bar. I want to cut 4 inches off of this paper, so I'll bring it to the 8-inch mark. That's 12 minus 4 is 8. Stabilize and trim. Then, let's bring this over to our 4-inch mark. See, this is not hard, not difficult math. All right. Now, what I have, how many cuts did I make? 3, I think. 3 cuts. I have 6 photo mats, and again, no scraps, which is what I love. So I think R is one of my favorite steps of this little formula. Now let me show you how this is going to work. I take my photo. I'm just going to put it right behind this mat. This one, I have a special spot for it. It's going to be right behind these frames. You can see how the paper is actually doing some of the work for us right now. You notice I'm not really gluing anything down yet because that's going to allow me the freedom to make some changes and rearranges as I'm working through that formula. I do that a lot. Sometimes I even change where the photos are going to be, which page they're going to be on, so don't be afraid to do that. This piece we're going to use a little bit later. All right, so we've selected our photos, we've chosen our papers, we've rendered our photo mats. Now the next letter is the letter A, which stands for add your title and your journaling. So adding your title can be a fun thing. That can be decorative, it can be anything you want. I like to keep my titles simple when I'm really trying to get some layouts finished. What I've simply done here is taken some rubber stamps, an alphabet set that coordinated with this kit, and I've stamped them out in black ink, which is simple, onto a piece of coordinating cardstock. I've matted it in a piece of that blue paper that was left over from rendering those photo mats, and I'll just lay it right on my page. The other thing is to add your journaling. Now you'll notice, again, that the photos are number one here, and my journaling is important. That's why it's at this stage of the process. I want to make sure that I remember what was happening in this particular event. I have a little secret I'd love to share with you. I do all of my journaling handwritten. I tend to not use my computer for that, but I have a little tool that I call a journaling stencil that I absolutely cannot live without. Now, instead of drawing straight lines with a pencil, I simply lay my journaling stencil on top of my blank cardstock. I take my pen, I write into those openings, I take the stencil away, and I have beautiful handwritten journaling in a straight line, which is how I like it. So I think this is a great secret for you and a wonderful little inexpensive tool to help you with your in-home journaling, not using a computer. So we've added our title and our journaling. Now we reach the final step, which is the letter P. That stands for place your embellishments. Now the photos are still number one, our journaling is complete. We take the remaining areas that are left on our layout and we can fill those in with all of those artistic elements that we love to add as artists. And I have some just very simple ideas that are going to help us finish this page. I love to work with little border strips because these lay around my desk all the time and I can actually incorporate them right into my layouts. And I have a little 1.5 by 12 inch strip of paper here, and I've simply added a few decorative brads, and I'm just going to lay this in that open area to the right of these open frames. And I think that really kind of adds some balance to this side of the layout. And now we need something for that other side. So let me show you some rubber stamping techniques. I do love to rubber stamp. And one of the most basic inks that I use is basic black. I use it on almost every layout because I don't have to get up and search for other things. And I have a wood-mounted rubber stamp here that was released with this kit, Memories Are Timeless Treasures of the Heart. It really does go well with the theme I've got going on this layout. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink this stamp, and I'm just going to put firm downward pressure on this image. And when I lift it off the glossy paper, I have a beautiful image. Then I have some coordinating blue ink. In fact, Club Scrap actually selects an ink that will match with the papers each and every month. So I'll stamp this. I'm actually going to stamp it right over here first so I can lighten that blue color so that it will give the perfect accent to this little quote, coloring it in beautifully. Also included in that frame kit, we have these little triangular frame hangers, which I just simply attached to this quote after I cut it out and layered it onto, yes, that coordinating blue paper that matches so beautifully. So now when I study my layout, I see this open spot right here. I can place my embellishment right there. And guess what? We've reached the end of the acronym for SCRAP. We've placed our embellishments. You can actually continue on from here and just continue to express your creativity, but all in all, this layout is done. And I'm very pleased with it. It's simple, but it accomplishes my goal, and I still get to express my creativity. Now there's one other little formula that I am dying to share with you because we tend to work in two different formats as scrapbookers. We use 12 by 12, but we also use 8.5 by 11 paper. And really, this whole formula was born when I discovered that I only had one sheet of paper with which to mat 4 photos, and it was an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. I was trying to figure out how I could make that happen, so I had to use my math again, which wasn't really my best subject, but I still do use it every day. So here I have an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. I'm going to create 4 mats for 4 photos with one sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper by using some simple math. I'm going to put my paper in the trimmer, cutting it in half. So it started out as 11 inches wide. I'm going to make it 5.5. So I'm going to stabilize and trim. We do the stacking again, just like we did with the 12 by 12, but this time we only make one additional cut. It's 8.5 inches wide right now. We're going to make it 4.25. All right, that cut. All right, 4 equally sized pieces of paper and no scraps. I love it. We call it scrapbooking, but I don't have a lot of those. All right, now let me show you how this works. These photos started out, as most do, at 4 by 6 inches, right? To make them fit on this mat that I've just cut, all I simply needed to do was cut 3/4 of an inch off of the top of this photo, so that'll give me a perfect 1/8 inch mat all the way around. And when I lay this picture on the paper, it's going to provide the perfect amount of contrast coloring that I need for this layout. All right, so now I have my photos positioned here, and you can work with your placement and make adjustments. Again, I don't do any gluing until the very, very end of the process. And then I've used some rubber stamps here to create my title once again from the science kit, and then I'll place this little pre-printed cutout right here, pretty much the layout's done. I mean, I can play with this a little bit more and add some more embellishment and artistic stuff, but again, if your goal is to get some stuff accomplished, this is a great way to do it, and that is the acronym for SCRAP. Now, I'd love to show you some more layouts where we've used that same formula. Let's just go through it on this Veil page right here. I selected my photos all from the same time of day at the same place. I've chosen my paper colors from the written word kit, which actually coordinate with these paper colors perfectly, nothing to do with written words. I've rendered my mats in coordinating colors to make these pop off the page a little bit. I've added my title and my journaling, and I've placed some simple embellishments right onto that title and this little decorative tape strip along the right side of the layout. So you can see how, once again, with a totally different color scheme, this layout really works and falls into place easily. Let's look at this Door County, Wisconsin layout using Club Scrap's Wild Wild West kit. The kit really worked well for these greens, the beautiful greens that are featured in these photos. And once again, you see that formula at work, giving me a very successful layout in a short period of time. It's been so fun being here today. I hope to see you again soon.
For step-by-step instructions on how to create this week's project, download the design guide featuring special make-it-your-own bonus tips.